Yes, indeed. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another live stream. Today is July 3rd. It's Thursday already. You guys noticing that too? Time is definitely speeding up. We talked about that. Actually, I talked about it on Tuesday, and here it is already Thursday, and tomorrow will be Friday. Another week just like that. Welcome back to another live stream, guys. I want to thank everybody for your support yesterday in the super chat. That meant the world to me. That was actually a lot of fun, by the way. Let's keep it going today. In today's video, there's Laffy Taffy. Hello there, Laffy Taffy. Laffy Taffy was the #1 super chat yesterday. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate that, and I'll never forget that. That was fun. You painted the office wall red over there. You literally did. It was so cool. But in today's video, we're going to talk about this thing that's coming towards the Earth. In fact, I've got me a little note card here full of things. But yeah, a new interstellar object. Are you serious right now? Third one in recorded history. Third one ever. Now, they're saying that this could possibly be a comet, but it's too early to tell, because it's not necessarily behaving exactly like a comet. It doesn't have a tail. It doesn't have the typical outgassing. In fact, I'll show you guys the information that I have. I've been researching this for a couple hours off and on, and I've found some interesting things about it. And what's really interesting, well, the whole thing in general, as you saw on the banner, but it is coming, and here's what I want to talk about. This thing is moving at a staggering 147,000 miles per hour. That's 66 kilometers per second. That's hard to even wrap your mind around, you know. It's moving fast, it's incoming, and be ready. Be ready, because in October, you might be able to see this thing in the nighttime sky. That would be so cool. I mean, really, this is only the third time this has ever happened in recorded history. And this thing, whatever it is, and believe it, guys, it's not fully understood yet, because it's from another star. And wrap your mind around that. This is from another star. Wow. So anyway, here's what I have. There's Owl Hippie. Welcome back, Owl Hippie. Let me get a drink here, guys, of this. This is my coffee my wife made for me. She does an excellent job. Good job, honey. That's awesome. Here's what I have, guys. Over here at spaceweather.com. Interstellar comet. They've given it a name. They're calling this thing, for the time being, Comet Atlas. And it'll probably stay that. But as you can see by looking at this thing, let me zoom in and give you guys a close look at this baby. This is wild. It came from another star. It's moving at 100, almost 50,000 miles an hour. No way. Yes way. There it is right there. So see what I mean? Let me get my handy dandy zoom little feature over here. There you go. Who's got the big red banner today? That's my zoom right there. That's what I use. Zoom it. Works pretty good. But for some reason, every once in a while, it doesn't want to activate. So here we go. There it is, right. Where did you go? I got some other things to share with you guys in the nighttime sky. A gentleman captured what appears to be a fleet of objects moving through actually outside the atmosphere of the Earth. There it is, right there. Guys, I don't think that's a comet. We have another interstellar traveler. Remember Oumuamua from 2017, 2018 that went through the inner solar system, had a very unusual shape. Oumuamua was much smaller than this. From what I understand, this object that you're looking at right there, right now, that's from just a few hours ago. This thing's 12 miles wide, moving at let's say 150,000 miles an hour. I mean, that's fast. So moving at speeds like this thing should be outgassing. It should be at least a little. Maybe it's too far away to tell, but it's inside the orbit of Jupiter. So we've seen comets before in the past inside the orbit of Jupiter that were smaller than this, that were outgassing and giving us the telltale signs that it's a comet. Okay, that's one of the main identifiers of a comet, is its tail. Okay, well, we don't see that with this thing. But what's so cool, this thing came from another star. How did it come from another star? How did it get through the Oort cloud? How did it get through the Kuiper belt? And then, of course, well, it's not into the asteroid belt yet, but it's headed that way. Made it through all these different layers, and here it is. What compelled it to come here to begin with? This isn't a member of our Laffy Taffy did it again. Wow, you are awesome. Thank you, Laffy Taffy. You got the wall glowing red again, light pink. With time seemed to be going by. Ah, you read, yeah, that's right here on my card. Feels like it to me. Tomorrow is my 55th birthday. Happy birthday, happy early birthday, Laughing Taffy. Thank you so much for the super chat, you guys. That's fun. Keep them coming. You're lighting up my office over here with these cool colors. Now it is pinkish red. Thank you, Laffy Taffy, and happy early birthday. Yes, time does seem like it's going faster. I'm serious. I put a comment in the community section of YouTube just the other day. I mean, it's honestly been 48 hours ago when I made that comment. Wait a minute. Again, time's going by so fast. I put a comment in the community section of YouTube about how time, and at least I can only speak for myself, but like Laughing Taffy feels the same thing. To me, Laughing Taffy, I don't know about you, but every time I turn around, it's Friday. And Friday's always been kind of one of my favorite days of the week. You know, it's kind of the last day of the work week, and you get a couple days to yourself. And Friday's probably a popular day with everybody. And that's cool, you know, that's great. But every time you turn around, it's Friday again. Holy cow, where is time going? My perception of time is going by so fast. And I remember very vividly thinking on Monday, let's see how fast Friday gets here this week. My wife's the same way. And here we are. We're going into Friday already. And it seems like it's just maybe been a day or two. But we're going into Friday again. Laughing Taffy, the first big super chat. Thank you, Laughing Taffy. That is so awesome. Something else we're going to talk about in this video, and I'm actually going to do a poll on a phenomena that's sweeping the Earth. But back to this object real quick. Again, guys, this is super rare. This has only happened 3 times in recorded history. Probably prior to recorded history, it may have happened a bunch. But since we've been monitoring the skies and the Earth, things like that, we've never seen objects. It's just not commonplace for objects to dive into the solar system like you're going to see right here. Hold on. So I can find it. I got to move this mouse all the way around my room, Laughing Taffy. Okay, I've got it right here, I believe. Yeah, there we go. Okay, cool. This is the path of this object. Here we go, guys. It's going to go by Mars right there. At least close approach, I believe, in October 4th. That's a special day in our family, October 4th. So on or around October 4th, this is going to come in the vicinity of our neighbor Mars. So, hold on just a second, guys. Now, is this thing going to come like super close to the Earth? We don't know exactly what this thing's going to do. It was a surprise. It shouldn't come super close to the Earth, but stranger things have happened. It should go right on through the solar system. Look how close it's going to come to Jupiter. And this is in March of 2026. It's going to take that long to get through the entire solar system. You got to keep in mind, that's like 500 million miles. I think the orbit of Jupiter is 500 million miles. Don't go nowhere. There we go. For some reason, I can hear the fan a little louder today. Thanks for the super chat again, Laughing Taffy. Really appreciate that. Keep them coming, guys. But anyway, here's the projected. They're just now getting all this information together because this thing was just discovered not too long ago. So you see how it's making basically a straight line right through the solar system. It's already eclipsed the orbit of Neptune, Uranus, Saturn. And right now it's approaching, I think it's already inside. Yeah, it's already inside the orbit of Jupiter. So it's going to take a while to get through the inner solar system. And it's not really going to go in the inner solar system, but it's pretty darn close. That is super rare. Where do these things come from? How do they do this? You know, it is quite a mystery. And it's very exciting to know that we're having a visitor from another star system, right? I mean, it's pretty wild to even wrap your mind around something like that. So it's coming. Be ready. You might be able to see it if you've got a halfway decent telescope, but I'm sure, just like you see right here, there's going to be all kinds of footage from these guys that have the big 14-inch telescopes. There's some guys that have some nice equipment, so we'll be able to see this thing. And I'm looking forward to seeing if it has a tail, how long the tail potentially gets. I don't know. I'm not convinced that it's a comet just yet, but maybe it is. I don't know. Very, very cool stuff, though. Third time ever. Hold on just a minute, guys. I got to organize something here. Oh, I've got some more videos to share with you guys. Hang tight. I'm just getting organized. We're just getting started. This is going to be fun. Night sky. Oh yeah, speaking of night sky, here we go. I've got another view similar to this of the night sky. Check this out. This was just sent in today. Here we go. And who sent this in? My friend John out of Messick, Michigan. Okay, you're looking at the night sky last night, July 2nd of 2023. And man, does he have an incredible, look at the stars there. He's got a really good night sky. We're going to do a poll here in a couple of minutes too, guys, so have your thinking caps on. Last night, July 2nd, actually the night before it looks like, at 1:49 a.m. Here we go. I'll slow it down, zoom in so you guys can see. There's an arrow pointing to something right there. You're going to see some what look like maybe meteors fly through the field of view. And this is at original speed. You can tell by the time. I don't have it in fast forward. Here comes another one from the top. What is that? But that's not what we're actually looking at. There's something down in the lower left that's quite mysterious. We're going to zoom in and take a closer look. This is really cool. And I didn't see it until I zoomed in. And I say it's actually them. There's multiple objects traveling together, insinuating like a fleet of objects. Here we go. We're going to go in a little closer. You can see the primary one right there at the tip of the arrow. Every once in a while, it kind of reveals itself. And you can see, when it reveals itself, you can see an afterglow and then a dark body around the light. But if you look real close, and I'm going to adjust the lighting here in just a couple of seconds, and we'll look at this again. I want to analyze this really good. There goes what was that? Let me pause it. What was that? With that, see, notice that in the upper left. Did you see that? Kind of hard to miss. Right there. Was that a meteor or was that something traveling with this thing? You're going to see a fleet of objects here in just a minute. And these are outside of the atmosphere. And coincidentally, this coincides with this mysterious object that originates from another star system. And now we have this visible from Earth, quite possibly from another star system. So is somebody all of a sudden visiting the Earth and our little neck of the woods over here, so to speak? Kind of looks that way. See that right there? I'll make it a little more clear here in just a minute. I zoomed in. This is the original format. I didn't do anything to it with the exception of zooming in. And then once I adjust the lighting just a little bit, you'll be able to see other objects around this primary object. It's not alone. No, it wasn't alone. Okay, there's the primary right there. Notice the black, what looks like there goes I guess, some sort of a meteor. Maybe it's a traveler traveling with the interstellar object. Let's go back. This thing wasn't alone. There was a fleet of things moving through the sky. Notice the activity around it moving around. You can see the background stars are stationary. Notice the black things in front of it. See them? This thing wasn't alone. One more time. Very cool. And when you speed it up, sometimes fast forward reveals things when you're analyzing things in the nighttime sky. It'll reveal things. It'll separate it from the stationary things. And you can see that this thing definitely wasn't alone. The primary big object was in the center, and then the smaller ones were kind of out in front of it. And then there goes the asteroid, meteor. Wasn't a meteorite because I don't think it was inside the atmosphere. This, on the other hand, I think was definitely inside the atmosphere. This was also on the night of July 2nd. We're already in July. Next thing you know, we'll be in August. I mean, the months seem like weeks. The weeks seem like days. As Laughing Taffy, she can attest to it too. Time is definitely moving by faster, or at least my perception of time. Never seen anything like it. Jacksonville, Florida, Michelle Mickler, 7-2, 2:30 a.m. So this wasn't last night, it was the night before. So this wasn't a rocket launch. This was some sort of a meteorite zipping through the sky, visible from northeast Florida. And you're going to see all of a sudden it just very quickly disappears. So I don't know, maybe this is a family member of the interstellar traveler, you know, because we've learned over the years that when big asteroids come near the Earth, and I'm talking, when I say near, I mean a couple million miles, you know, there it just kind of disappeared real quick. We'll look at it again. But they usually don't travel alone. The big ones, no, they have the bigger asteroids have a little bit of gravitational force, and they can pull in smaller objects, and they may be 100,000, 200,000 miles away, but they'll travel together. And you can tell by looking at I'll show you guys the list here in just a second. This is something I've learned over the years just from day-to-day observations. But this was a meteorite. Once it enters the atmosphere, it's a meteorite. Was spotted above Jacksonville, Florida. Anybody else see that? Very cool. Night before last at 2:30 a.m., I believe. I know most folks are asleep at 2:30 a.m., but Michelle was outside and alert, had her smartphone ready, captured that meteorite from Florida. Here's the list of, this is how I learned that the bigger asteroids travel in packs. They travel in some families, you know. Let's just find one. Okay, here's a big one right here. We go down to July 11th, and you've got one that's 300, almost 400 meters across. Okay, that's pretty good size. That's over 1,000 feet. Now, it's not supposed to make a close approach, which it's 15 LD. That's not super close, but it's close enough to make the near-Earth object list, and that's what this list is, the near-Earth asteroids. As we get to July 11th, closer to July 11th, there'll be an increase. And I've noticed this time and time and time again. There'll be more detected on the 11th. Right now, it's just showing 3 that they know of. By the time the 11th gets here, like on the 10th, they'll probably observe a couple of more that will be traveling with this big one here. And we'll see an increase in meteorites in the atmosphere here on Earth, because the smaller ones will get pulled in by Earth's gravity. And unfortunately, the vast majority of them dissipate over the ocean, but the big ones don't travel alone. And here was a couple of real close ones on the 29th and 30th. 0.2 LD, that is closer to the Earth than it is to the moon. But these weren't real big. They were, 30 feet in diameter, moving at 7.5. And that's another thing, too. You can tell if they're traveling together. Not always, but it's a good indicator if you look at the velocity. See the velocity up here? This column is how fast they're moving. And if you see a group, a cluster of them moving at about the same speed, you know they're traveling together and they came from the same location. Like this enigma that we're seeing right now, astronomers discover 3I Atlas. And that's I'm assuming the 3I stands for the third interstellar object that's been discovered since we've been keeping records for a little over, I don't know. Record keeping goes back to the days of Galileo and Isaac Newton, but modern day records, you know what, 100 years, 150 years, third time. And here's the scoop. This is what they're saying, and we've talked about it just briefly earlier. Astronomers are super excited about this because it doesn't happen very often. Again, 12 feet or 12 miles, which is pretty decent size. It's not huge, but you're getting into the minor planet category there, right? So is this a precursor to the mysterious Planet X? And that's something that we're going to do right now. In fact, we're going to do that real quick because I'm curious, and you guys, if you want to know something, ask the chat, you know? So let's do this. All right, here we go. We're going to do a poll. We're going to do multiple polls because I want to pick your guys' brain today. I'm just curious. Hang on. And this was just a simple yes or no. Now the next one is not going to be a simple yes or no. Okay, I'm going to pick your brains a little bit more. Do you believe there is a Planet X? Yes or no? And I remember years ago there was all kinds of hype about Planet X. This was around 2012. And honestly, every time you went online, somewhere you would see something about Planet X, Planet X, Planet X. So I did some research on it myself and have done quite a bit of research on Planet X, you know. And I'll share my thoughts on Planet X with you guys after the poll. I want to see what your poll suggests. So just a simple yes or no. It you don't have to, you know, include your name. It does include your name. And I want to thank you guys for the super chats. Keep them coming. Thank you, Laughing Taffy. I really appreciate that. That helps more than you know. Keeps things going. Yeah, because sometimes it gets slow. It helps. It helps a lot. I appreciate it. There's something strange going on around the world, and I'm going to ask you guys today what you think is going on around the world. What may be the cause of some of this stuff? People seeing all kinds of things in the day and nighttime sky, pretty much on a daily basis. Just like today, I received multiple. Here's one right here. Young lady out of North Phoenix. Let's see here. Where's it? Yeah, right here. Her name is Tracy Beauford. And this was last night at 12:12 p.m. And we'll do this while we're waiting on the poll. This was right out here in my neck of the woods in North Phoenix. Tracy Beauford stopped her car and started recording this enigma. Oh, thank you for the super chat. Here they come. Zebo Walters. You're the best, bro. Thanks for keeping us informed. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. And Sugar Wookie. That's cool. Thank you. Did all of these objects come from the same place? You know, that's the question of the day, Sugar Wookie. And again, I want to thank you guys for your support. I love seeing the color up there. You got my wall now. Red, blue, and green. Who's got the orange and who's got the yellow? Let's make it multicolored again today. Where did they come from? That's the thing. Nobody knows. They're under the assumption that, yeah, it came from another star because it came from outside the solar system. But good question. Which one? We want to know which one. And can we expect more? But that's a great question, and one that hopefully they can answer for us. But this was another example. I get these every day of the mysterious flashing lights. This was right out here in Phoenix, Arizona at basically midnight. Young lady came up on that, stopped her car, and started filming. I get those every day. I've had people in Idaho, Montana just recently. Young lady was driving down the highway at about 10 o'clock at night, pulled over to the side of the highway safely because there wasn't a lot of traffic out. But she was coming up on a row of lights at an overpass. And as she went up on the overpass, the lights were Jenny and the Vet. That's cool. Thank you, Jenny and the Vet. Hey, that's cool. Thank you very much. Appreciate the support. There's the green. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's celebrate their 10th super on a live. All right, that's really cool. She came up on a, there's blue organic machine Dean 333. Stay curious, open, no fear. Absolutely. There's nothing to fear. Everything is going to be okay. That's for sure. Is it going to get interesting along the way? You betcha. It's going to get interesting. It's getting interesting now. It is interesting now, but it's going to get even more interesting. But yeah, she pulled over. Thank you for the super chats, guys. We've got red, we've got green. The only ones we're missing are orange, yellow, and then the big red. Who's got the big red today? But she pulled off the side of the road safely again, no cars. Took a video of all these lights on the overpass malfunctioning for unknown reasons, you know. And it wasn't bulbs, you know, and that's the thing. It couldn't have been bulbs. They all wouldn't have went bad at the same time. Looking at the GOES X-ray flux real quick, guys, while I'm thinking about it over here at the Space Weather Prediction Center. Looking at the solar flare activity, the last, this is just 72 hours. We can go back 7 days if you like. Here's the 7-day. Not much. It's been very quiet. And we go through that in solar maximum. Peaks and valleys. Peaks and valleys are in everything, you know. When you're keeping data and statistics, peaks and valleys. Basketball games are a series of peaks and valleys for teams, you know. Same way with the sun. There's no solar flaring activity to speak of the last week. Looking at the Yellowstone supervolcano caldera, different story over here. We talked about this yesterday, and I wanted to give you guys an update from yesterday's video because we talked about this and the highly unusual activity at Yellowstone. And it did go from bad to worse, and we were talking about this little guy right here. This seismograph is behaving, he's misbehaving, but I don't know if he's misbehaving maybe in a good way. He's trying to tell us a story. And right now, the story is very confusing. If you look at that seismograph, it's all over the place. So is it trying to tell us that the ground is moving all over the place? That's what these things do. They detect ground movement. Very sensitive ground movement. Well, this right here isn't telling us that things are, you know, copacetic right there along the northern edge of the caldera. I'll show you guys where it's at. It's right up here. So the northwestern quadrant of the caldera is historically the busiest part of the caldera. And I've just learned that from repetition. I come over here every day and look at these seismographs. It's just one of my many pit stops. Notice the red vertical lines. Those imply earthquake activity, okay? Small earthquake activity, but nevertheless, it's earthquake activity at a supervolcano. So that's kind of a big deal. This wonky seismograph is a really big deal. We've got earthquake activity up here at the northeastern entrance. See the solid red that went on for the better part of 22 minutes? Solid earthquake activity? What's up with that? And even down here at Parker Peak. More earthquake activity, and that's along the far eastern edge of the caldera. East entrance, earthquake activity. So not only do we have a seismograph that's trying to tell us a story, now we're seeing a legitimate increase in earthquake activity at a supervolcano on the Earth. That is way overdue to erupt. Last time it erupted was over 730,000 years ago. It's been super quiet for a supervolcano. So we're seeing some unusual activity. Does it mean it's going to erupt? I don't know. I mean, you know, we don't know what... before it erupts, I'm sure in the past, if there were seismographs on this supervolcano, I'm sure the seismographs started showing activity like this. Probably a whole lot more intense. So yeah, the seismographs are going to be our first indicator that this volcano is waking up. So yeah, the volcano is showing signs of activity, very unusual activity, especially along the northern edge. Definitely something that we're keeping a close eye on. Looking at the Schumann resonance, something that we always talk about. A lot of people are sensitive to the Schumann, the frequency of Earth, and you can see today within the last, look at that, 6 hours, there's been a few spikes in the Schumann. One over 40 hertz. And the common denominator was what, 7.8, 7.6, Well, being over 40, that's a pretty decent spike. And you can see 3 days ago there were big spikes, long duration spikes, 3 and 4 days ago. So a lot of activity in the Schumann just the past 7 days, very active. Looking at the power outage situation across the United States, pretty quiet, I think, the last time I looked. We got some activity now, more than likely. That is from storm activity. 42,000 without power in New York, 16,000 without power in the state of Texas. Almost 17,000. 15,000 in Pennsylvania. Let's see what counties, and you can probably tell right where the storm activity is at. You click on the state, it'll show you the counties. So southern New York, I would say there's storm activity in New York right now as I do this video, because you got two joining states. Yeah, so that aligns. So there's storms obviously moving through the area of northeastern Pennsylvania and southern New York. So we've got right around 60,000 customers without power. Being without power in today's world is a huge inconvenience. We all depend on power for pretty much everything. You know, your phones, your computers, your TVs, and things like that. So being without power is just no fun. But something is messing with the flow of electricity, and we're going to talk about that. I want to see the pole here real quick. I got the screen up here. Light the screen up with color, guys. Let's go. Light it up. Red, green, orange. Haven't seen an orange today. Let's look at the poll. Do you believe there's a planet X? Yes, 76% out of 685 votes. 23% no. I'm with the 76%. I believe that there's probably more than one, to be honest with you. The thing that we're watching enter the solar system right now, everybody's all hyped up about this little guy right here. Well, he's not really small. He's 12 miles wide. That could be part of the Planet X family. It's just a theory. Stranger things have happened. And as we all know, you guys in the chat are very smart people. You know the truth is stranger than fiction. So what if this was a harbinger, you know, or a precursor to Planet X? You never know. It came from somewhere. What if it came from the binary star? They don't tell us what star that this thing came from because maybe they legitimately don't know. But what if it came from our binary? Because I believe that we do have a binary star. I think all stars have binaries. I don't think there's a star system out there that is without a binary, and in some cases 3 trinaries. I just think that's how it all works, you know. In my studies over the years, that's what I've learned. I was a planet hunter many years ago. I was one of the first planet hunters when they assembled the Planet Hunters crew with the Kepler telescope. When they put the Kepler up in orbit, they solicited people from the community, the global community, to become planet hunters. And I signed up. And they brought me on board. I was one of the first 1,000 to become a planet hunter, and I got to have access to the Kepler telescope. It was pretty cool. Oh, we got another spam call, guys. My goodness. You guys getting spam calls too? Or is it just us? Let me know in the chat. I'm just curious. I mean, we get spam calls. Yeah. Yeah, so do I. Thank you, Anarch. Yeah, every day. It's unbelievable. Yeah, unbelievable. Thank you, Kimberly. That's very kind. Yeah, I think we have honestly, I think we have a binary star. Absolutely. Can you go outside and point your telescope at the sky and see it? No, I don't think so. I've tried. But that doesn't mean it's not there. But back many years ago, boy, you guys have no idea all the experiments that I did. I did a lot of different experiments, a lot of different things, and a lot of different hunting, planet hunters, and all that stuff. I think it takes some complicated math, and I'm not so sure that our binary star can be seen maybe with infrared, but it is out there. It is out there. I'm pretty sure of that. That could be where this object right here is coming from. We've seen it now 3 times just in, you know, modern history. So maybe this is telling us that, hey, your binaries, if we follow this back, you know, if we had the ability to do that, trace this back to its origin, like, you know, that was a good question. Where did this thing come from? Maybe it came from the binary, because I think that's where Planet X roams, between our solar system and the binaries. It's not that far-fetched. It's really not. There's all kinds of activity out there. Why wouldn't there be? That would be, I think it would be more confusing if there were not a binary and a planet X or two or three or four. You know what I mean? Hey, Joplin Mike, thank you for the super chat. It's nice to see you live. My wife and I have been watching your channel for years. Ah, thank you. You're welcome. Thank you for the super chat. I really appreciate that. We got the wall red from Laughing Taffy and now green. Way to go, guys. Thank you, Laughing Taffy, and thank you, Joplin Mike. Way to go, guys. Laughing Taffy's got a birthday tomorrow. Happy birthday. Way to go, guys. Thank you very much. But yeah, I mean, to me, it makes more sense that there is a planet X, that there is a binary star. Maybe two. You know, you never know. And this could be part of it. It was so cool when we had access to Kepler. Kepler ended up breaking, by the way. There was a wheel in this assembly that when they rotated the Kepler on different patches of the sky, and they would give, like myself, like right here, for instance, this is what we would get. I'll show you. This is what I did when I was a planet hunter back in 2010. Okay, but it was much closer than this. But you would get a patch of night sky like this. I got to be honest, it was extremely boring. It was probably more fun watching paint dry. But if you were enthusiastic about finding a potential exoplanet, and that's what we were doing, we were looking for exoplanets, then, and I was thrilled to maybe find an exoplanet. Oh, these, good Lord. Guys, I'm telling you, I don't recall ever having so many spam calls. Sorry, it's just every single day. But anyway, this is what you would get. Kepler, and it would be much closer. You would get a small patch of sky, night sky, that would be full, and I mean packed full of stars. And what you would do, and you would be close, okay? Because you would have to be close enough to detect a shadow. And if you detected a shadow 3 times on the same star, you had a candidate for an exoplanet. And then you would submit that to your each like group of people had a peer that would peer review your findings, and then they would confirm your findings. And I submitted 2. And then after I submitted 2, it was, a little while later, the Kepler broke, and the satellite was just dysfunctional for a long time. So I got out of the planet hunting scene, but it was kind of fun just to try to maybe find and I think I did find 2. I don't know if they ever got named, but I did find one star that dimmed. Basically, it's a dimming. When it dims for the same amount of time, okay, that means a planet's crossing in front of it from Kepler's point of view. It would dim 3 times, boom, you got an exoplanet. And you guys know the rest of the story. There are many exoplanets out there. So could there be a planet X out there? Of course there could be. And there probably is more than one. So I just kind of learned that from my planet hunting days. And it just made sense to me, that's all. Have I ever seen it or seen any proof of it? No, I've never really seen it, that doesn't mean it's not out there, but if you got to keep in mind, the orbit of Neptune, there's that orange Team Alaska. Boy, that pops up there on that screen. I got a screen up there, guys. And in fact, I wish I could turn my laptop around. Maybe I got my laptop facing me. Team Alaska, with all the new research, can you give any insight on electromagnetism and gravity and dark matter? Those are excellent questions. I used to use an instrument from Alaska, Team Alaska, the induction magnometer up at the HARP facility. The HARP facility, I know, has kind of got a nefarious, a little bit of nefarious history behind it, but the induction magnometer came from the HARP facility and was able to use it, and you could detect electromagnetism and things like that. And that was one of the instruments that I used to use back in the day, many years ago. Thank you for the super chat. Now the wall is glowing orange. Cool, good job. And they took it offline, at least available to the public, But I measure frequencies with those instruments right over there. Got to be honest with you, today time got away from me. Honestly, next thing I knew, because time is moving so fast, laughing taffy. Next thing I know, it's 12:30. Well, I like to take UV readings right at 12. I'm a stickler on that because that's when the peak UV is at. So we're always checking electromagnetic. That's ultraviolet, but I've got an antenna over there that I'm contemplating on setting up that will give me my own personal electromagnetic anomaly readings. Dark matter, I've read a little bit about that. Electromagnetism, we're going to talk about electromagnetism coming up here real soon, because I think there's an anomaly going on with the possible weakening of the magnetic field, the magnetic shields, and I think it's creating anomalies that are creating anomalies down here on Earth that we're seeing in different ways, For instance, with these bizarre lights, was that I see another yellow, holy cow, or another, it's orange. Got that wall orange today, very cool. Keep them coming, guys. Thank you so much, Jeff Snyder, too. And thank you, Team Alaska, for the great question. And yes, always looking into those things. Absolutely. When a simultaneous fluctuation in magnetic field and a surge of electrical ground currents occur with no inbound CME or solar wind, what could cause this? How might it be related to ionic wind and wildfire? Jeff Snyder, I think I can answer that with a fairly certain degree of confidence here. I think that's got something to do with the Earth's core. Earth's core. Because the Earth's core obviously puts off energy, creates our geodynamo and things like that. I think that's where it comes from. And I think every once in a while, and thank you again for the super chat. Keep them coming, guys. You got the wall orange over here now. That is so cool. And that's a great question, Jeff. And Jeff, you have probably one of the greatest memories I think I've ever ran across in a person. You remember videos that I did 8 years ago. That's so cool. Earth's core, short form question, comes from the Earth's core. And I think something is, disrupting the Earth's core. Maybe it's a cycle that it goes through. Not really sure. We don't know that much about the Earth's core. We learned a lot about its shape and everything from seismographs that we follow. And we tried to drill to the Earth's core but couldn't get the job done. Couldn't get the job done because too much pressure broke the equipment. Thank you, guys. Appreciate the super chat. Keep them coming. Got the wall over there, glowing orange. You guys painted my office today. But yeah, I think that comes from the Earth's core, Jeff. That would be the next place I would go if it wasn't the sun. And if it wasn't obviously man-made, then maybe the Earth's core. Planetary position, that's a whole nother field of study. Planetary position does affect the Earth, everybody on the Earth. Certain planetary positions, certain are stronger than others. And I've connected that dot back to, let me show you something right here. This was something that I wanted to talk about, and we'll come back to this topic here in just a minute. These are some of the largest earthquakes, well, the largest earthquakes ever recorded. I want to do another poll. You guys are smart. You have great questions. Team Alaska, Jeff Snyder. We're going to do a poll here. Where's my handy dandy glasses? Need him to read up close. Hold on, guys. Just a second. Please bear with me. Because it kind of reverts to... Okay, here we go. Let me type this in real quick. You guys got that wall bright orange over there. What's behind? And this one's going to be, instead of just yes or no, I don't want yes or no. I want, no, I don't want that one. Hold on. We're going to redo this. I'm sorry, guys. I'm picked the wrong one. Let's start a Q&A. Now, this is interesting because this has been going on for a while. Give me just a second because it's A. They're making me type all this out, which is fine. No problem. I got it. I got it. Okay, then I'm going to give one more option here. Okay, I make sure I got this spelled correctly. Behind the global flickering lights, solar activity, grid failure, EMP. And we'll do one more. There we go. Oh, it says my prompt is too long. Oh, okay, sorry. Oh, you can only do 100 words? Okay, cool. Well, then we'll just keep it at EMP. EMP, you're going to see right here. This is all I can do. I can only go 100 letters. There we go. What's behind? I don't know if you guys can see that. It kind of slowed things down. Let's see here. Can you see that? What's behind the global flickering lights? Solar activity? Grid issues? Or an EMP? An EMP could fall into the dirty electricity category. Because the dirty electricity phenomenon, which is a real phenomenon, by the way, is created by an EMP, an electromagnetic pulse. So, thank you, Bill. Did you look at the email of possible Planet X? Bill Relich. You know what, Bill? I think I did. Thank you for the super chats, guys. Keep them coming. Who's got the big red today? Paint the wall red. Love all the colors, and I love all the support. Appreciate it. The math, the math. You know, everything is the math. That's for sure. Everything is numbers. Everything is math, for sure. And I think that's how we could possibly find the binary star. There may be more than one. There may be more than one binary, but I'm pretty sure we have one. And we may have two. Thank you again, Jeff, for the super chat. That's really cool. You're very kind. You're very intelligent. You have a memory like a steel trap. Oh, these are some of the, oh yeah, this is what I'm showing you guys right now. I put this together earlier this morning. These are locations that I've received, these weird flashing lights that go along with the question. I can only do 100 letters, so I was going to add something else on there, but it wouldn't let me. But you can see Canada, US, you're looking at Ireland, the United Kingdom, Europe, New Zealand coming up. Here's Australia, even Western Australia, Hawaii, my goodness, Singapore and Malaysia. There's Europe, quite a few out of Europe. There's one lone one out here in Bermuda, and there's another lone one right here on the island of Cyprus. Can you believe that? Down here in South Africa. This one here was one of the most bizarre by far. Look at those. These are all Tesla vehicles. I don't know. What do you think? There's probably 100 there. This is just one parking lot. There's another parking lot over here to the left. And all the lights, for whatever reason. Oh, here's another one too. I forgot about this one. So there's a small lot over here on the right. The main lot in the middle. And then there's a lot to the left. And the lights are just all going haywire. And these obviously aren't connected to any power grid. There's self-sufficient. They supply their own power. Now, there's another parking lot over here. He's going to make a little tour around this whole parking lot. But yeah, probably between 100 and 200 of these things flickering for whatever reason. So yeah, guys, that Q&A, we're going to have to work on that. But what the Q&A was basically, I was just trying something different. We're going to have to work on that because it didn't give me the options to put all the choices down there that I wanted to. So I'm going to stop that right now. But what it was, it kind of tied into this video right here and the one coming up. There's the lot to the left. These cars were all over the place. I've got some more extreme examples. Not that this isn't completely bizarre. This is off the hook. There's the one over there to the left. There's probably 100 vehicles over there by themselves, all doing the same thing. What caused them to do that, you know? Here's an extreme example out of San Antonio. Look at that. Big, huge parking lot. Probably 10-acre parking lot full of lights. Obviously, the purple lights are a magnesium strip that goes bad on the lights. We get that, but why do they all go bad at the same time? You know, that's the mystery here. And here's miles of them. That's why I asked there, EMP, maybe did an EMP cause these lights to malfunction? Because there's several miles here. Chip Snyder shared this video. This is from Florida. Florida's been a hot spot of this type of activity. Las Vegas, as you're going to see right here, multiple buildings. And these aren't bulbs. They couldn't be bulbs. These are signs on buildings that are completely unrelated. See the bulbs over there on the sign on the buildings over here, and then the buildings on the right. Inside of that building, these buildings are unrelated. They're on separate circuits. It has to be the electricity that supplies this plaza, right? I'm just trying to use common logic here because common sense would tell us that all these bulbs aren't going to go bad at the same time. And then there's even a parking lot bulb that's going bad. So it's almost as if, and then look at the inside of this building here. And this was one person at one location caught all of that activity. Who was this again? George, May of 2025. So just a little less than 2 months ago. It's still going on. I've gotten videos from yesterday. I'm sure there'll be some more in there from tomorrow, from all over the world. And then the inside of the building, those lights right there, those look like, obviously I don't know because I'm not there, but they look like the long 48-inch fluorescent bulbs, you know, the old school bulbs. Uh, that's what they look like. And I know that the ballast can go bad on those. I used to change ballasts on those types of lights when I was a teenager in high school at my very first job. Every once in a while, those bulbs would go bad at the place that I worked, and sometimes the ballast would go bad. The ballast is a black rectangle, at least it was back then, about that big and about that thick, and it controlled the flow of electricity to the bulbs. And sometimes I would have to replace the ballast. Did that as a teenager. But I never once saw the bulbs flickering like that or like this, the power going completely off. This is like something you would see out of a movie. Look at that. Like all of a sudden, all the power goes off. The whole building loses power. So that's, again, not a bulb issue, right? So what's causing this? That's what my Q&A was about, you know. Is it solar activity? Is it an EMP or a collection of different types of EMTs or EMPs from maybe the Earth's core, from the sun, maybe something else? Or is it something else? Dirty electricity caused by an EMP? Is it the grid itself having issues caused by something other than an EMP? There's Pat S., been a member for 19 months. Thank you, Pat S. Appreciate your support. That is so cool. Pat S. is a Star family member. You can become a Star family member by clicking on the link down below in the description box. That's really cool. Thank you, Pat. Good to see you. But yeah, right here, that's almost kind of eerie. And that's why the viewers stopped their car and started recording, because it was so weird. Like right here. This is just way, it's just too far from norm. You know what I mean? I've never seen this. Now, Mason City, Iowa, Veneta. This goes back to January. It's still relevant, though, because it's just another example of the hundreds. I'm over 1,800 now. 1,800 globally. Unbelievable. They're still coming in every day. Well, it's not stopping, so that tells me that these lights, whatever story they're trying to tell us, they're still telling it. Stephanie out of Memphis, Tennessee. This entire complex, watch the lights on the front of all of these buildings that she's driving around. And this is obviously what compelled her to take the video, was the malfunctioning lights at this entire complex. It looks like an apartment complex. Yeah, look at all of them. Second floor, first floor, lights malfunctioning. So, holy cow, Hillary there. I see the big red up there. Thank you, Hillary. Love the live checks. Could these flickering lights possibly, let me pause this, Hillary. Good question. Could these flickering lights possibly be due to the destruction of underground bunkers or maybe solar flares? Also, what do you think about the looking glass technology? Those are great questions, and thank you for the super chat. Let me give you a thumbs up right there, Hillary. Hold on, Hillary. Okay. Very cool. The bunkers. I don't know. I do know there's a whole aspect of life underground that I know a little bit about. I'm not involved with anybody that's building bunkers. I spoke with a man that was in the military, and you heard this from yesterday's live stream. Here's another example real quick, Hillary, then I'll get right back to you. Thanks for the super chat. The wall is red now. Very cool. Another example of an entire complex with flashing lights. Ira McCoy out of Baltimore, Maryland, he shared this video, and this is obviously what compelled him to take the video, was the mysterious flashing lights at the entire complex. Hold on just a minute. I'm telling you. Just a minute. Yeah, the entire complex, Hillary. All of these bulbs, more than likely, common logic tells us wouldn't have went bad at the same time. There was an issue more than likely with the power supply feeding these lights and all the exterior lights. Back to your question, Hillary, and the red wall over there, that's too cool. You guys are too kind. Actually, it's kind of a pinkish color. But yeah, Ira McCoy, underground bunkers, or maybe the solar flares. Like, it could be a combination of both. And another thing, too, like when the solar activity is low, I'm still getting the flickering lights, this weird, it's just weird. I get it. It's weird. And I'm staying on it because I genuinely feel in wholeheartedly that these lights are trying to tell us a story. Is it because of something to do with underground bunkers? Are they pulling electricity like Hillary? I think what you might be implying, Hillary, are they pulling electricity underground, and is that causing malfunctioning electricity above ground? Very good question. And you just made me think of that. I didn't think of that until just now. That is a great thought. You know, I've seen dams on Google Earth up in the mountains, like in the Rocky Mountains, where there shouldn't be dams. You know, and I'm like, oh, okay. There's those dams are providing electricity for something underground. If you ever kind of just browse around the mountains of the Rockies, you'll see every once in a while dams just out in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of a river. And they are providing electricity for something underground. So could that be taking away from our electricity above ground and causing these wonky things like we're seeing right here? It's a good possibility, Hillary. I'm leaning more towards, just based off what I'm seeing, because I'll still see on some days a big increase in these weird flashing lights. When there's no solar activity, no solar storms or CMEs interacting with the Earth. Here's Toledo, Ohio. Joel, you can see pulled up on this parking lot. Lights just everywhere. They're malfunctioning. It's like they got a brief. Look at this here. This is a good example. This is in Mexico. It's like they got doused with a large quantity, maybe small, who knows, of dirty electricity. Electricity that's not clean. It's got an electromagnetic component to it that causes the things that it supplies power to malfunction. Especially light bulbs, TV monitors. I've even seen cell phones. And it almost has to be some sort of an airborne technology. Maybe not, but it's happening on solar equipment too. I've seen solar things malfunctioning. Look at this here. Holy cow, Mr. Smith. Now we got green walls over here. Way to go. Thank you for the super chat, Mr. Smith. Birkeland current. Oh, yeah, you know about the Birkeland currents too, huh? They're buzzing around the planet all the time. You're right. Birkeland current's going wacky. The red and blue Kachinas, satellites confirmed. Let's see, let me get back to the... I like it when you guys paint the wall over here. You guys are cool. Satellites confirmed, sun flyby, 427, 2025 fast movers. Seeing them, daily mag chaos. Oh, the blue and red Kachina. I ain't too sure. I didn't see the blue and red Kachina, my friend, back in 2012. I don't know if you guys remember or not, but I saw, and you're not supposed to be able to see supernova or pulsars with the naked eye from the ground, but I can assure you that I did back in 2012. And you know who else did? My wife. I saw this with the naked eye, and Mr. Smith, it was red and blue. And I saw it one night. It was in March 12th. Saw it March 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, 7 nights in a row. 13th through the 19th, something like that, 2012. Saw it from 9:34 p.m. to 10:08 p.m. I'll never forget it. It left that kind of impression on me. And when I first saw it, it was a blue flash in the sky. I'm like, whoa, what was that? It wasn't real big, but it was bright enough to see. It was a clear night, 9:34 p.m., because I looked at my phone when it happened. It's just something I always do. If I see something that's maybe a little unusual, I don't care what it is. I'll look at my clock to have a time, something to refer to. No different that night. But it was a blue flash, unlike a man-made light. It was different. You know what I mean? It was like a jagged cloud. To be perfectly honest with you, it was a jagged cloud. I'm trying to find something for size reference. About the size of the tip of that pin right there. But up in the sky, that clicker, about that big. But a jagged cloud, blue. And then 3 minutes and 30 seconds later, I'd see a red one, about that big, way up in the southeastern sky, to the left of the head of Hydra, the head of the serpent, constellation Hydra. There's the star Alfred. Alfred is the top star of the big constellation Hydra. It was just to the left, 3 degrees to the left of the star Hydra. You can look it up on any star map and you can confirm what I'm telling you. And what I'm telling you is true. You have Hydra, then you have Sextans, and you have Leo. And it was in between Leo and Hydra, but closer to the star Alfred. Saw it for 4 years, the red and blue sequence, only for 1 week at a time, between 9:34, you could set your clock by it, I mean like clockwork. 9:34 to 10:08 was your viewing window opportunity, the second week of March. And I saw it in 2012. That was the first time I saw it with the naked eye. I wasn't looking for anything. I was just standing out back. And the third night, I went out there the second night out of curiosity, because that night I stayed out there until I couldn't see it anymore. 3 minute, 30-second intervals. It would be blue, red, blue, red, blue, red. Then at 10:08, you couldn't see it anymore. So that told me that, well, I didn't know until like the 7th night. I figured out, okay, the Earth's rotation and forward movement is making the window get smaller and smaller and smaller, because the first night I saw it like 8 times, okay? The second night I saw it 7 times. The third night I asked my wife to come outside and take a look. And I wanted to make sure, that's why I waited until the third night, because I didn't want her coming outside and looking at a dark patch of sky for no reason. So she did come out, and she says, what am I looking at? Because it was like 9:30, and I said, just be patient. Just look at this dark patch of sky. You know, I felt kind of foolish at first, because she looked at me like, well, what am I looking for? I said, just wait. Well, lo and behold, it came back. There it was, right on schedule, 9:34 and a half. Poof, the red cloud. It was red this time. Actually, it started off, no, when it started off with her, it was red. It was a red, jagged cloud, like a nebula, but about this size right here, but easily visible with the naked eye, if you knew where to look. And she was looking in the right place. And then she said, oh my gosh, what was that? And I said, good question. I've been watching it for 2 nights. So then she was intrigued. She was captivated by it. She goes, what was that? And I'm like, I don't know, but it's been in the same place for 2 nights in a row. So she stayed out there until 10:08. And at 10:08, you wouldn't see it anymore after 10:08. Saw that for 3 years, and it was a red and blue rotating jagged cloud that was on a 3 minute and 30-second interval, and you could only see it for 7 nights. And then you'd have to wait until next year. And that's when I confirmed that we are indeed orbiting the star on an exact 365-day cycle, because it was 365 days from the first time I saw it until I saw it again next year. 365 days. So it was the forward movement of the Earth and the window closing. But it was very real, and I could see it with the naked eye. So yeah, these things are probably real, and it depends on your interpretation, you know, of the Kachina. I don't know what it was that we saw. I did a lot of research on it after that, because it was super intriguing. It led me to pulsar. Led me to obviously supernova, neutron star, things like that. But trust me, you don't need a telescope to see those things. At least not that one. Holy cow! Okay. Sorry about that, guy. Back to the questions. If you guys have any questions, send them through to a super chat. Thank you for all the comments and everything. I'm trying to get back to Hillary's question. Where's it at? It is right there. Thank you, Mr. Smith. Thank you, Hillary. You guys got the wall green and pink right now. Let's see Hillary's question. I forgot what it was. I'm sorry, Hillary. Love the live checks. Could you beat the flickering lights due to destruction of underground bunkers? Yeah, maybe, because they had power underground, so maybe that's caused some domino effect issues in the power grid. I feel that something is influencing the power grid 100%. Solar flares. Also, would think about the looking glass technology. I'm assuming you're talking about the AI stuff and all that. I don't know. I'm. It's it's like anything new. We all kind of like a little hesitant of change and things like that at first, but yeah, I don't know about all this AI. I kind of feel it's gonna help humanity in ways, but then again, it's gonna take a lot of jobs that humans do. It already is. You can tell when you get a call. I think that's a lot of these robocalls that we're getting. And I'm sure you guys are getting them as well. These machines, they're just calling numbers just constantly. And I bet you between my wife and I, we get 10 a day. 10 a day. It's unbelievable. I don't remember ever getting that many, spam type of calls until all this AI stuff started coming out. And you can tell, like when you call certain places, let's say you're calling a place to make a reservation for dinner, something simple as dinner. You can tell if it's AI, and they're pretty good. There's a slight hesitation, and they have no sense of humor. They don't recognize humor yet. If you can say, wow, it was colder than a blankety blank 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 today, they don't get it. They'll be like, yes, it was 70 degrees, blah blah blah. So they don't have a sense of humor. That's how you can check if you're talking to a real person or an AI. And there's that slight delay because they have to process what you're saying in order to give you an appropriate response. So they're out there. It's everywhere. I don't know what to think about all that. It's just change. Sometimes change is good, but the aspect I see is I don't know. I don't know if I like it. But it's not up to me, is it? Look at the lights here flashing again. This is wild and crazy. This is a location in Mexico. You're looking at probably 2.5 blocks of lights just flickering. And obviously that's what compelled him to take the video. How often do you see 2.5 blocks, maybe 3 blocks of random houses and buildings just pulsating? Why? Why? I saw a video here's another example. This looks like something you'd see out of a movie, right? Tulsa, Oklahoma. This video was sent in by Jessica Rose. Came up on this part of town in Tulsa, and it looks like something you'd see in a scary movie or whatever. The lights were flickering in the downtown area, and it was abandoned like a ghost town, and what electricity was left was just kind of barely flickering on and off. It does look like a ghost town. There's nobody there, and the lights are flickering on and off. It's like everybody booked. Where did they go? But yeah, there's another prime example, and that's what compelled her to take the video, was the bizarre flashing lights. So, the theories right now are running wild as to what's causing this. I think the general consensus, though, is most people aren't on board anymore with defective bulbs. At first, yeah, I had a lot of people saying, you know what, dude, those are just defective bulbs, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't know if I agree with that. Well, in fact, I didn't agree with that because I saw too many come in from too many different parts of the world, in let's just say a week. And you guys saw the map. A guy from Cyprus, the United Kingdom, Norway, Denmark, Sweden, Southern Australia, Singapore, Malaysia. All over the place. So I think we're going to talk about that topic right there tomorrow. because I got some more research to do. I was going to go into the earthquake thing, but I connected some dots many years ago. But I want to give you guys a little better presentation. I've got some other things that I want to add to that, and we're going to make it happen tomorrow. Yes, sir. Toyko, what's going on over here in the winds? You've seen the Tulsa lights flashing before? Cool. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, there's something up, guys. I've seen way too many for it to be. It's obviously not a coincidence. I don't believe in coincidence, but I've just seen too many for it to be bulbs. You know what I've said? I've said it before. It's like all the bulbs in your house going bad at the same time on the same day. Well, that's never happened to you, right? It's never happened to me. Why is it happening now? And I've yet to see it in a person's entire house. But I've seen multiple lights in a person's house that they've showed. They went from room to room, showing that multiple bulbs went out at the same time. So I think it's got something to do with dirty electricity, and that's a real thing. It's a real phenomena that is produced by electromagnetic energy, electromagnetic pulse. So we could have that coming from a variety of sources, even man-made. Who knows? Hope not. But then again, if it's a natural phenomena, where is it coming from? Pretty wild. Pretty wild stuff. But yeah, we have an interstellar visitor again. We're so lucky. Who is this guy and what story is he trying to tell us? He's telling us a story just like the lights and everything else. Where did he come from? That was the question that I wanted to know too. Where did this baby come from? From what I understand, it's about the size of, well, it's bigger than Houston. Let's put it that way. It's 12 miles wide. So yeah, you could drive your car on it for a while. So it's pretty good size. But the only thing is you don't see a tail or anything yet. Why is that? Why is that? No tail. So that tells us that it's not going sublime, and it's close enough to the solar wind that it should be. Yeah. Oh yeah, the solar wind right there. We just saw a fairly significant CME. It wasn't a super halo. You can see it was only occupying, what, half the solar system? Not even half. Maybe a third. But it was headed towards Mercury there, or at least in the general vicinity. So that type of dense solar wind should interact with this comet, if in fact it is a comet. I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced. I respect their points of view on this thing. You know, they're the ones that have the high-tech equipment, and I don't. I don't have the big telescopes that can analyze these things up close. So if they say it's a comet, we're going to go with that. It's just that it's not behaving like one right now. Will it in the future? Well, you know, it very well could. You're looking at the SOHO LASCO C3. This is the wide field of view. This is an amazing instrument. This thing has been in operation since 1998, and it's still going strong and doing a phenomenal job. This is a wide field, the SOHO LASCO C2, which is right here. And you can see comets on here. That's why I have it open. I knew it was too early, but we'll be able to see that comet, if it in fact it is a comet, on that instrument right there, and then on this instrument here that you're about to see, the SOHO LASCO C2. It's a closer field of view of the sun, and the sun is behind the round circle you see here in just a second. It blocks out the overwhelming bright light, so you can see what's going on a little bit. We only get 5 images per minute. That's what makes up these little movies you see right here. You're thinking, oh, there's a blue banner. Thank you, Reality Check VIP. What if Mercury got wiped out by a solar burst? You know, Mercury's pretty tough. Thank you for the question, and thank you for the super chat. Mercury's pretty tough. Think about how many times Mercury has taken a direct impact from very strong solar flares. In fact, I'll show you one. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate that. What are you telling me here to do? Update OBS. Remind me later. Oh, I put it in a folder. Here's that's a good question. I've often thought about that too. It's probably why Mercury is bald, because it doesn't have a atmosphere. Because it has taken a lot of energy from the sun. I had a banner or a video on here. Why is it not here? Okay. It's cool. Where did it go? Oh, it's right there. Okay, no wonder. I couldn't see behind. Now this is a solar flare. This happened back in 2003. It's the CME component of the solar flare. This was coined the Halloween storms of 2003. Here we go. Check out this energy. Man, that's almost pure plasma hitting that satellite. And here's the wide field. Look at that. Now, can you imagine? That was, you know what? That was actually small. I know it looked big. You know, it's like, wow, that was a big solar storm. And it was. It overwhelmed the satellite. And it's still functioning to this day. And that was back in 2003, 22 years ago. And it's still hanging tough. That was a strong storm. Mercury has been dealing with things like that for as long as we've been monitoring space. So Mercury's pretty tough. And, you know, it's like it kind of reminds me of hey, Jazzy Cat, we got the dancing pair. Hey, you. Thank you for the super chat, Jazzy Cat. That's really cool. I appreciate that. We've got red and green going on over there. You guys got my office painted these wild colors again. But this is what we can expect sometime in 2025, 2026. Probably another event like this. Solar maximums have a tendency to do this. It's not anything that we haven't seen before, like right here. You know, again, this happened in 2003. But the only problem with this is we don't know how strong these could possibly be. You know, this one was like an X-17 or something like that. We had satellites in orbit then. I don't know how much damage, if any, it did to the satellites that were orbiting. But today's world, we have a lot of satellites in orbit, thousands and thousands and thousands. And what causes the problems is this right here. The overwhelming presence of the plasma density and the satellites orbiting in that. This was kind of short-lived, to be honest with you. It only lasted a few hours. Can you imagine if that went on? Like if the sun were to literally shed a layer? Yeah, it could. Why not? You know, it does it all the time, you know, in small chunks. It did a whole layer. And that's why we talked about a super halo back on June 1st. Kind of knew that was in the works, you know. And there's another one in the works. Absolutely. Of course there is. It's just part of the sun's process. But this here, what if it lasted for like 200 hours? How would the satellites do in that type of environment? Probably not too good, right? You'd probably start to see some malfunctions. And we would know what the malfunctions were from the overwhelming plasma density. We would know, okay? Unlike the weird light phenomena that we're dealing with, we don't know what's causing this. And that's the thing. I mean, it's just straight up unusual. So is something causing dirty electricity? Could it be an event like that right here that we just simply can't see? Is something going on that we're not seeing? We have a lot of instruments. There's the flare right there. That was the secondary flare. I mean, that was a tremendous outgassing event. Oh my gosh. That went on for a while. And that's one of the bigger events. And right there is our friend Mercury. Mercury was bathed in that right there. See? So yeah, got bathed in star juice. Look at that. And there's Mercury. Venus is a little bit bigger. That's how I know that's Mercury. Venus is a little bit bigger. That's Mercury. That's one of the strongest direct hits Mercury took that I've seen personally, right there. So yeah, Mercury can handle it. Mercury's been around a while, and Mercury's pretty tough. Mercury's pretty tough. But yeah, that's the thing. We don't know how much horsepower the sun can throw at us at one particular time. We've seen, we think, an X-45, but our instruments couldn't measure it. It was so strong. It was kind of an educated guess. They went, well, maybe it was an X-45, you know. Started out, I think, this is one of the bigger ones, an X-17, I think, X-20, then they went up to X-45. Not that particular one there. It was another one, I believe, in '04. I don't know. It was a while back. But the instruments didn't give a precise, exact, you know, X caliber because they weren't sure. Like the Carrington event back in 1859, they don't know exactly how strong that was. It was definitely Earth-directed. The Carrington event, by the time it left the surface of the sun, arrived at Earth in less than 17 hours. I mean, that is unheard of. If we have an event like that, that's why I talk about this. And it's just to give you knowledge and information, and just know that like these weird lights, you know, our grids and satellites and things like that, they're definitely susceptible to interference of some kind from the sun, maybe the Earth's core, maybe some things going on in between that we're not aware of. Of course they are. So it's best to just be prepared for those maybe moments of interference, and maybe these lights are giving us a heads up, like, hey, you know, your flow of electricity is being influenced by something, and you know you may want to be prepared just in case. It's better to be prepared and not need it than to not be prepared and need it. You know what I mean? That's all. And that's just a code that we should all live by. Yeah, because we live in a place where things can change, you know, in a moment's notice. We don't know when an earthquake's going to occur. You know, we can maybe, you know, come up with an idea when an earthquake's going to happen, but the problem with that is we don't know where. So if you don't know where, what good's the information, you know? Yeah, I mean, I can... Hillary, look at you. You got the wall orange now. Thank you, Hillary, for the super chat. I've seen evidence that they're building Tesla technology towers in Texas. I believe you. They've got weather towers in Texas to replace the grid. What are your thoughts? Do you feel covering the Earth with satellites and dust could block out energy from the sun? Those are great questions, Hillary. Thank you again for the super chat. That's fascinating about the Tesla towers. You know, covering the satellite, the satellites, there's a lot of them. I totally agree. And by comparison, they're very small. But there's a lot. And one thing I've thought of with regard to especially the Starlink satellites, have you ever heard of a Dyson sphere? A Dyson sphere is a hypothetical sphere constructed around a star to harness the star's energy and then use the energy on your sphere that you live on, or star, or whatever. Oh, there went a sun-diving comet. Did you see that? I wonder if that's associated with the... Hold on, Hillary. Wow, we do have a sun diver. Okay. Yeah, there's sun diving comet down at the 5 o'clock position. Yeah, with regard to the Tesla towers, I would love to see that. I really would. So if you get a chance, could you send me a picture of one of the Tesla towers if you ever go by it, and email it to me? You know my email right here, reports@mrmbb333.com. Right here, I had to hook up my... What in the world? I see another color up there. There's Zilrin. Zilrin Rocha, what's up? Is Hubble still traveling without any damage, and is the battery still charging while my Duracell is... Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Reports@mrmbb333.com. Thank you for the super chat, Zilrin. There's another one, Mr. Smith. Please look at SDO movie 427 of 2025, Fast Movers. I'll check that out, Mr. Smith. Thank you for the super chat. Got blue, we got green, and we got orange, and we got red. Hillary, if you can, when you get time, don't go out of your way. But if you happen to go by one of these Tesla towers, please send me a picture. I would love to see it. I'm a big fan of Nikola Tesla and his way of thinking. Back in the late 1800s, early 1900s, he knew that the Earth was a constant source of energy, and he knew if we could somehow safely tap into the energy of the ionosphere, we would have free energy infinitely, as long as the sun was blowing energy towards the Earth. He knew that. He was a smart guy. So he built these towers that she's talking about. I believe they were called the Waffenberg Tower, something like that. Tesla invented those, and he had some kinks to work out, but all in all, he was successful. It could have worked. But yeah, I'd love to see a picture of those if you can. I know they have wet weather towers in Texas. That's not even a secret. I do feel sometimes that they're covering the Earth, and this is just a theory. This is just a theory, Hillary. What if, and this is just a what if they were putting up all these Starlinks, and I know that they're used for internet. I know people that use the Starlink for internet, know of people, and they say it works great. Okay, that's great. But it seems like an awful lot of expense and an awful lot of time and technology to circumnavigate the whole Earth 24/7 just for people that might need internet, say at a mountaintop or out in the middle of the ocean on a yacht. It's like a very small percentage of people would need internet at the top of the Andes Mountains. You know what I mean? But Starlink can get it there now. You can get internet at the top of Mount Everest. It's actually quite cool. But what if there was a secondary purpose for the Starlink? Because they do, if you ever look at that live app, and I'll have it for you tomorrow, they do cover the entire globe, even across the poles. There's not as many at the polar areas, but there's some. What if they could all unify at the same time and like a Dyson sphere, form a shield around the Earth and deflect high energy protons and plasma from the sun during a large scale solar event? What if it was a way to protect our grid? If they could in fact do that, if they could come up with a collective, negative charge grid around the entire Earth to deflect positive charged ions, maybe neutralize them. It's just a thought. Right now, they're just not simply big enough to make a difference with regard to the sun. There's just no way. That's just me personally. I don't think they're big enough to make a difference with the sun and every photon that comes towards the Earth and radiation. But I think they could temporarily block a radiation storm, with some degree of success. Could they constantly? Probably not. Probably not. But again, that's just me thinking outside the box. Maybe they're multi-purpose, because there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them up there, and they keep putting them up in orbit every week. Somebody just sent me videos of a rocket launch again from, I believe, California, putting up Starlink satellites in orbit. It's like, wow, how many Starlinks we need? But they apparently put a lot of them in orbit every week. So it's kind of cool, but maybe they're up there for AI. Maybe this AI is going to be all over the Earth, and that's going to supply the necessary energy that it needs, Wi-Fi, internet for AI. So, and just know, whenever you guys are using AI, I know a lot of people use the AI technology for questions and things like that. You're feeding it information. You're making it smarter. When you ask it questions and it doesn't maybe get it right the first time, and you say, "Oh, no, it was this," you just made it smarter. So just know that. But it's just part of the whole process, it's part of the process. You make it smarter. Yeah, I mean, it's been energy learning, or it's been information gathering for many, many years. It got its information from humans. Yeah. So, but unfortunately, yeah, we're making it smarter. So like when you call and you make a reservation at a restaurant, and it gets, doesn't maybe understand what you're saying, and you correct it. Like, no, 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 I meant this. Oh, okay, yeah, I got it now. You corrected it, and now it won't make that mistake again because of you. So you are making AI smarter, and me. Yeah, I've used it before too. Do I use it much? No, not very often. At least not to my knowledge. No. I'm an old school guy. Old school guy. I'll probably just always stay old school for the most part. Yeah, I like to analyze videos. I love the videos you guys send in. If you guys see anything that's curious, cool, you want analyzed, send it in. You can drop it to the Dropbox over here at the homepage of my website, right here, mrmbb333.com. Really easy to remember. If you have a large video, drop it in that Dropbox right there. Or pictures, questions, small emails, reports at mrmbb333.com. I check the email every day, and I check the Dropbox every day. In fact, the Dropbox is the first thing I check every morning. After my coffee, I'll come in here. The Dropbox is right over there on that machine, and that's it's the second thing I do after I turn it on. Well, thank you guys for all the super chats. Thank you, moderator, for the fine job you've done today. I think the moderator left the house temporarily, so yeah, that's cool. I have the best moderator in the world. Thank you guys for the super chats. Super chats are always welcome. They're actually kind of fun when you guys light up that monitor over there. I'll show you the monitor sometime. In fact, I'll take a picture of it and show it in my next live stream. It's just a monitor I have on the wall. It's super easy to see the chat going over there. And then when I see that color, like a red or orange, the dancing pairs, whatever, it gets my attention because I'm looking here at material that I want to share with you guys. And then I'll see those colors up there, and then you can't miss them. It's like somebody over there waving a banner. And I appreciate that. That's really super cool. Who we got here? Yay, there's Polenta. Hey, Polenta, hope the leg's doing better. You're welcome, Judith. Thank you, Chin Chinny. Jay Gannon, thank you guys for stopping by. I really do appreciate it. You guys are too cool. The best chat in the world. What was that? Something just beeped. Oh, it's telling me I got to get up and walk. Yeah, I know, dude. I hear you. I got to get up and walk. Got to get your steps every day. Just a little friendly reminder. Happy 4th. Thank you, Polenta. You guys, too. Happy 4th. 4th is tomorrow. Another 4th. And guess what tomorrow is, Polenta? Friday. Here we go again. Now, this Friday, yeah. Good. I'm glad your leg's doing better. That's good to hear. Yeah, we're already coming up on Friday, and we're going to be back on another Friday again. Next thing you know, it's going to be Christmas, and we're going to be looking at 2026. Wow. We're going to talk more about that phenomena, too. Is time speeding up, or our perception of time. And we're going to look into it deep. We're going to touch on some things that I've never touched on before. And I'm sure a lot of you guys maybe have, maybe haven't. I don't know, but it's interesting. Let's just put it that way. I've got a whole note card over here. Actually, yeah, it's right here. Whole stack of note cards right here of things pertaining to our aspects of life, perception of time. We're going to talk about that in our next live stream. Yeah, or at least part of the live stream. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to hop off here. I'm glad everybody's doing good and having a great day. I hope you have a super evening. Have a wonderful 4th. I'll probably see you guys again tomorrow. I'll get some things together. I've got some more interesting things to share with you guys. As always, you guys keep the narrative coming. You guys drive the narrative, by the way, just so you know. I get questions and emails from people that determine a lot of times what the live stream's going to be about, or a video is going to be about. Polenta is always sending me things from the very busy and fascinating skies of Sacramento over there in Northern California. Wow, interesting skies over there. But yeah, you guys determine the video material more than you realize. So I appreciate that. You're very alert. You don't miss a trick. You're wide awake and on the ball, and I appreciate that. Well, listen, guys, I'm going to hop off here for today. Go get a little bit of something to eat. What time is it? Almost 4 o'clock here in Arizona, 7 o'clock on the East Coast, and 5 and 6 o'clock in between. Well, listen, thanks for stopping by. Once again, thanks for your support. The super chats mean a lot. It's a lot of fun. I like to see that wall get lit up over there with color, and we'll do it again tomorrow. Thank you, guys. Have a great evening. Be safe out there.